And so our next speaker, who's props and everything, which is great, always good to see. If you welcome to the stage Becka Lawson, who's going to tell us about caving in Yorkshire.
Okay, I'm going to be talking about ticking. So my friend's bagging the 282 Munros, every peak in Scotland over 3,000 feet. And I've kept him company going up some grim, bleak mountains with no redeeming features. But he's got a phone app where the Munro goes from red to blue every time he summits. And today I'm talking about the addictive kick that he gets from ticking. But I'm going to be talking about going underground, not mountain walking. I've been a caver over 30 years. Most summers I do several weeks of expedition caving to cold, dark, vertical cave systems in Austria. And I've also spent many years doing sports caving in the UK, especially Yorkshire, as well as many, many trips, painstakingly making maps of some of those caves. And I've been involved as well in various digging projects where we go, often for trip after trip, for months, even years, going back to the same place to try to extend known cave by excavating or engineering a passage, often chasing faint drafts, to try to break into new passage. So that's my general caving career. But in 2006, an attractive and painstakingly researched guidebook came out called Not for the Faint-Hearted. It contained detailed descriptions of 50 of the harder caving trips in Yorkshire. It's been not so affectionately nicknamed the Black Book. I bought a copy, and from 2007 I started to tick off trips that I happened to do. 7 out of 50 trips. This was a cave I'd had both surveying and digging projects in at the time, so I just ticked it off as part of my normal caving. This squeeze is particularly tricky because the boulders you're moving through are dangerously loose pile, and you need to be careful not to dislodge them so they collapse. 15 out of 50. My friend Patrick was keen to try to bottom this cave because of the challenge of the tight squeezes and the lure of the magnificent formations, these long straws at the bottom. 22 out of 50. This includes dementia crawl. To quote from the Black Book, a heavily blasted passage almost entirely sideways crawling with lots of right-angled corners and deep porridge like muddy water. Type 2 fun challenge done with some of my best friends. I'll let you read this. "21 out of 50. To quote the Black Book, any list of classic hard caves in Yorkshire would undoubtedly have Quaking Pot at or near the top. Quaking Pot's reputation is well deserved. Over a decade after deciding I'd missed my moment in life to ever do it, I got to the bottom, and at this point I started to wonder if I might be able to make most of the rest of the 50 trips in the Black Book. This is a horizontal squeeze, whereas the crooks and quakings are vertical squeeze, which are generally much more intimidating because going down is more committing and trying to get up can exhaust you. 39 out of 50. This was another cave that had such a fearful reputation I never even attempted it, but once we'd worked out the entrance crawl was best done feet first, so you didn't arrive to teeter head first over the top of a narrow, awkward pitch head. It wasn't quite as scary as I thought. 42 out of 50. Some of the 50 Black Book trips involve free diving where there's no airspace, so you have to fully immerse and follow a rope or line to get beyond the flooded section. Here we took small air cylinders as a backup to go through the 3 short sumps. P5's 47 out of 50. This cave took 5 goes before I finally got to the bottom. The first 3 trips were digging past a flat-out squeeze in a gravelly, freezing cold stream right at the entrance. On the 3rd and 4th trips, my companions couldn't get through the next significant squeeze in the crawl, so we turned back, but on the 5th attempt I got there. 38 out of 50, this took 13 hours of effort because we were exploring at the far end and there's heavy rope and drills and gear to ferry through. I used to hate low airspace ducks like this, but now I've done so many I no longer find it scary. The trick's to float through on your back, scraping your nose against the ceiling with hopefully at least one eye out. Taking care not to make waves in the water that could fill your nose or get lost, because it's tricky to see where you're going when you can only see a tiny bit of ceiling. First person through got by far the hardest job. 49 out of 50. The long run of dry settled weather this spring finally gave me a chance to get here. It took 12 hours with lots of crawling and wallowing in deep water, so it's a battle against hypothermia. Pictures of clothes I was wearing. Mossdale, 50 out of 50. On the left I'm looking pensive before I went in, and the right's me looking relieved after making it out again. It was my final trip, and it was 10 hours of nearly unrelenting crawling in an infamously flood-prone cave system, site of the worst caving tragedy in Britain just over 50 years ago. To quote the Black Book, a uniquely intimidating cave with long wet crawls, deep canals and manifest evidence of rapid and catastrophic flooding. In theory, I've now got time to dig caves in caves or in our house rather than feeding the bat and chasing my elusive final tricks, and I don't need to worry I'm making risky decisions in my drive to complete the task. I can pick and choose my caving trips without having a tick list hanging over me. So I was going to advise that you never, like I did, start ticking by accident without realising you get hooked by it. But having finished, I'm now not so sure that I do regret doing it.